Hi, I'm Old Norse specialist Dr. Jackson Crawford, and this is part of a series of short videos answering questions from my Patreon supporters. Meredith W. wanted to know about Unr, or Oithur, the deep-minded. She is called by both names, and just for simplicity's sake, I'll use the modern Icelandic pronunciation of those first names in this video. She is one of the not enormous, but surprisingly large list of characters that are shared by multiple different sagas. Others would include, for example, Snorri Goði, who's in many of the sagas of Western Iceland, and in fact interacts to some extent with Lenore or Oithur. Now, this deep-minded woman's name is given as Unr in two related sagas, Laxdæla saga and Njáls saga, and as Oithur in Landnámabók, which purports to be a non-fiction account of the settling of Iceland, as well as two related sagas, Eyrbyggja saga and Eiríks saga Rauða, the saga of Eric the Red, both of which concern themselves quite a bit with people in Western Iceland like Oithur or Unr herself. Now, I'll say Unr just because that's the name that I'm used to seeing in Laxdæla saga, which is, of the sagas, the one that I know the best. She is the daughter of a Norwegian herseer, that is, nobleman, named Ketill Flatnose, and along with her father, she goes first to Scotland, where her father dies, and then leads her people, her family that have left Norway fleeing the tyranny of Harald Fairhair, to the Faroes, and then to Iceland, where she settles where her high seat pillars float to. There is a tradition that's mentioned often in the sagas where someone coming from Norway or Britain to settle in Iceland tosses the pillars of the highest seat that they use at the table into the water and then settles where they float to, taking that as a sign of divine favor for that spot for settlement. Also probably a good sign that, driftwood and things like that might drift to that spot. She arranges a huge crowded wedding feast for one of her grandsons at Hvammr, one of the many places she names, just means grassy slope, Hvammr, the modern Icelandic. She makes a huge thankful speech to the guests, and then she goes to bed early, and in the morning her grandson Olavur finds her dead upright in her bed, but this is her last big thoughtful gesture as the leader of her family, because now the feast that was prepared for his wedding also by her providence serves for her funeral. So she's a major leader of her family, and her name, Djúpúðga, nickname, means perhaps deep-minded literally, but in Old Norse can also mean deep-couraged, so perhaps courageous one.